guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an article titled The Swan Song of Dating in My 40s, a recap of 2021. And guys, this article is written by a woman, and she's 49 years old, and she is going to talk about how she's been dating for 8 years, and in 8 years, she hasn't been able to find the right guy to get into a relationship with or a meaningful relationship with. 8 years. And this all happened after her marriage imploded. And this is a article reflecting on the different dudes that she went out with in 2021 and every possible thing that was wrong with them and how it didn't work out. And I'm doing this for a reason, guys. 2 reasons. One, it's going to show you guys that do dating relationships a perfect example of what's out there and how picky the gals are nowadays. And it seems to me, what I've observed over time, as the older they get, the pickier they are. Okay, I know women in my personal life, acquaintances that are in their 40s, and they still can't find a guy, okay? And don't get me wrong, they're good looking for their age, but they're not exactly 10s or anything like that. And yet, they just keep turning down guy after guy and complain that they're alone, not in a relationship, don't have kids, and they wonder why. And so I'm doing this for you guys to show you what you can expect out there. That if you think you met a gal and things are going well, all of a sudden just she could ditch you because there was just one thing in her list of 25 different things, and I'm being generous, 25, that you didn't match, so she kicked you to the curb. I'm also doing it for you guys that are done with dating, just to show you, to reinforce why you don't anymore, because just this. And where does this all come from? This comes from never-ending bombardment of attention from dudes on social media like Instagram and TikTok, and just pretty much the gals that get all the attention, so they think, hey, I can always get something better because I'm, of course, a catch from all the attention I get from guys. That's why I tell you guys, don't do that. Stop liking all the pictures. Stop commenting all the pictures. Stop following these girls. Let reality come back. Let the egos come back down to reality. Also, thanks to the feminist movement telling gals they can pretty much get any guy they want and they deserve this, this, and this. This is what we have today. But anyhow, I'm going to go through this. It's entertaining because, at the end of this story she wrote, there were people obviously saying, oh, I get you, and it was a great story, but nobody really connects the dots and see things the way I see it. It's like, this is a gal for 8 years. She can't find a dude. She's too picky. Anyhow, it's an entertaining one. So it starts off, says, 2021 started out more promising than any of my 8 years of dating after the implosion of my marriage. I gotta wonder how exactly the marriage imploded. Miraculously, I met the perfect guy right after my 49th birthday in early January. Maybe all the disasters, missteps, therapy, and lessons had miraculously paid off. He dumped me out of nowhere in March. Well, yes, this is me after all. Blessed life, lousy luck. Notice the perfect guy, she said, canned her. Isn't that interesting? Although I match with guys regularly, I don't go out on many dates. Most of my matches don't live very close to me since I live in the middle of nowhere on the coast of Mississippi. If I'm honest, I can only partially blame my lack of dates on being geographically challenged. The usual suspects are out there in abundance: the indifferent, the confused, the confusing, the confused, the sleazy, and the overscheduled. Look, in 8 years, I'm sure she can meet somebody. Come on here. And okay, it's fine, she's not in a crazy busy area with a lot of people, but still, come on. And if meeting a dude's that important, perhaps maybe she relocates. There's an idea. Says here, after 8 years of dating, online and IRL, I don't take these things nearly as personally as I used to. I'm much less inclined to spend my time dissecting what I did wrong and why is he ignoring me. Well, of course, because God forbid if one has to reflect upon themselves and say, what did I do wrong? That means taking some accountability. And no. So it's somebody else's fault why things didn't work out. How dumb is that? If the same guys in life, if the same thing keeps happening to you, it's usually a good idea to look upon all situations and say, maybe there's something I'm doing here that's causing an issue. But people don't want to do that. And it isn't just women. Guys are like that as well, sadly, because we're in an area that everybody's blameless nowadays. You ever notice that? It's not my fault, somebody else's fault for this, or I have some label, therefore can excuse my bad behavior. I know, I'm ranting here. It's Friday. I'm ready for the weekend. She says, I've been honest. I've worked on myself. I've got lots and lots of experiences under my belt. I might still feel the sting of disappointment, but I finally moved beyond those casual online interactions deeply wounding me. Nonetheless, so many dating failures exact a toll. Yes, good lessons are learned, but the downside, indifference, and detachments are unavoidable. I think I do a pretty darn good job balancing the trials of online and in real life dating, but it's a delicate balance that requires regular reassessment and breaks. Again, lady, after 8 years, you can't find a dude, you're too picky. End of story. As I reflect on the final year of dating in my 40s, I can confidently say that it ends exactly as it should. Not with the man of my dreams, the love of a lifetime, no, with spectacular absurdity. The man of your dreams, you have been watching too many movies and too many romance novels. You can meet a dude that you can have fun with, but he ain't going to be perfect. The guy who said he realized he looked like Seth Rogen, but identified as Paul Rudd, his actions proved he's Seth Rogen. I want a refund. The guy who said I was the woman of his dreams, then ghosted me before we even met. The great catch who lives 90 minutes away, 2 young kids, several side hustles, and a full-time job. Somehow he made a long-distance relationship in Houston work for 18 months, so I hung in there. He canceled a couple of dates, eventually acknowledged that he didn't have time. The young sailor/engineer with the smile of James Marsden, who is still sort of in the mix. We matched in late April, but have only met twice. His job requires long stints offshore. He's currently at sea again. When he's onshore, I'm priority number 8. He's not a player, just self-absorbed. Notice she's calling him self-absorbed because she's not priority number 1. Notice here, she says priority number 8. That's what I tell you guys to do. But he's upfront about that and doesn't ask much from me, so I tolerate because we have chemistry and it's nice to have someone to check in with me from time to time. You have chemistry because he's not making her a number 1 priority, which makes her chase him and find him a challenge. So even though he's upfront with her, she still, as you're going to see, hooks up with him. She says, I couldn't have had this undefined sort of relationship a few years ago, but it kind of works at the moment. Do I deserve better? Absolutely. Does a pseudo relationship require much of my energy? No. Fast forward to the end of the year, I did not heed my own advice. Typically, I pause my dating apps from mid-November to the first week of January, but I kept Hinge open this year out of boredom and curiosity. What had I been missing by shutting myself off from the dating realm as the year closes out? To my surprise, I matched with 3 different guys in December. Despite my best conversational efforts, I could not get one of them to pivot away from sex-adjacent topics. The second one is a guy that jumps on and off the dating apps. We've interacted briefly a few times over the past 2 years. I decided to give him one more chance, but he disappeared again. I'm done giving this guy a chance to get to know me. Next. Well, it is the holidays after all, and people do have more important priorities than you. You know, seeing family, shopping, doing the different traditions and all that. So let's not, come on here, lady. The third guy was the most promising. Localish, attractive, and the best conversationalist. Last night he dropped the bomb that he is homeless at the moment. Okay, I can understand her issue with that. On the one hand, I appreciate he disclosed his situation. I'm very sympathetic to his plight and wish him only the best. On the other hand, I'm baffled why he didn't pause the online dating apps until he was employed and better settled. Furthermore, after a couple interesting exchanges, he then alluded to coming over to my place at midnight. I demurred, gently explained that I would be uncomfortable dating him, but would be open to being his friend. He was gracious about that, but then inquired whether I was sure I didn't want him to come over. Delete. Well, I can understand her on that one here, but you're noticing a pattern here, guys, and again, this has been going on for 8 years. I mean, again, okay, fine, you're in an area that's not so busy, if you're out in the country or whatever, but still, there are plenty of people, okay, but this goes back to the whole giant laundry list of requirements and things the gals feel entitled to have. Yeah, your typical guy, I mean, it's not that hard to please us. As long as she takes care of herself and has above average looks, and she is feminine and fun to be around, minimal drama. For most guys, okay, there you go. We all have deal breakers, but it seems more and more of the gals, their giant list of requirements is absurd. It's like when you go to CVS and you use your CVS card and they print out that scroll of coupons. You know, you guys go to CVS, you know what I'm talking about here, and he keeps printing and printing and printing this long scroll of coupons and deals. That's the modern gal's list of requirements for guys that have these days. It's ridiculous. And they wonder why they can't find a guy. She goes on, in case you're blaming my abysmal luck on dating apps, au contraire, my IRL dating is equally disastrous. Well, there's a freaking surprise. After getting a pedicure earlier this month, the lady texted me. Apparently, the client after me had found me so enchanting and pretty that she wanted to set me up with one of her newly widowed friends. I remain incredibly flattered that a stranger would want to help me with my love life. The only information that she shared was that the guy had just built a home along the coast and that his wife had died unexpectedly in his driveway about 18 months earlier. I acknowledge that it seemed a bit odd that someone in her late 40s or early 50s would just keel over, but these things do happen. Luke Perry came to mind. So I spoke on the phone with my would-be dating fairy godmother about this potential setup. Eventually it occurred to me that I should ask the basics. His age, did he have any children? She shared that he was about 70. Rah-rah. My handsome James Marsden, sailor engineer, is 36. The perfect guy from the beginning of the year is 50. That's basically my dating range. I don't date older guys, especially ones that are almost my mom's age. So she said this guy's about 70 years old, the one that the friend wanted to hook her up with, and she's turning 50 this year. Okay, 20-year difference. Guess what? When you're that age, it's not that big a giant I mean, it is a big difference, but still. My dad was 24 years older than my mom. And they started dating. She was 21, he was 45. And he, of course, was fantastic shape, had a baby face, was a doctor status. My mom didn't care because my dad was awesome. And it didn't hurt that he was, a doctor and a commander in the Navy and all that status, and women loved him. But still, again, picky, picky, picky. And again, her age, almost 50. Guys her age that she wants, she said her range is the mid-30s to like 50 years old. Notice she said her range ends at 50. Newsflash, you can get young guys that may want to hook up with you for the whole cougar thing, but her realistic range is probably going to be dudes that are probably late 50s and 60s, okay? There could be an exception on occasion, but no, her range is 36 through 50. Completely unrealistic, because guys that are in her age range, if they can get gals that are younger, younger to them, they're in their mid-50s, a girl in her early 40s or 30s, that's what they're looking for. And shit, if they can get 20s, they'll do it, because guys are guys. So it's completely unrealistic standards with regards to her dating range. And you never know. She could have met this guy until he hit off, but she's like, nope, no way. She says, for most people, receiving something from the AARP in their over-the-hill rite of passage, I had a stranger try to set me up with an older guy. I really can't do most things like a normal human. So 2021 is bookmarked with polar opposites, my perfect match, at least on paper, and homeless dudes, sex maniacs, and a perfectly nice geezer. A little disrespectful, lady. By all accounts, dating in my 50s will be an even bigger nightmare. At least I got my sense of humor. It's going to be a big nightmare for you because, again, you're your own worst enemy. But this is how things are. And like I said, guys, the gals I know in their 40s, they're still going to be single in their 50s. And they're getting the same thing I'll be hearing about when I go to these twice a year gatherings and barbecues in the summer. And, you have friends of friends and you hear these stories because everybody talks. And whenever I hear these stories, I just sit back and I absorb the information and store it away to comment on these videos. She says, my search continues in January. With 8 years of online dating experience under her belt, Bonnie has a PhD in online dating. Clearly, she has failed spectacularly at dating. After 8 years, you're damn right. Now, here are a few comments here, because they're always fun. One guy says, classic case of what happens when women linger in the market too long. The point of dating is that you're supposed to stop at some point because you found someone. It's not a clown car. You don't get as many chances as you think. No doubt this woman has ruined plenty of good relationships thinking something better was around the corner. Women's standards go up as their market value goes down. Sad. Yes, that's exactly it. She's getting older, but her standards get higher and higher. It makes no sense. Okay. Another one says, well, it seems like you made the same mistake we all make. I think this is from a woman. You're collecting rules about dating, calling it lessons, until you are unable to date because you always find the same type of person in the beginning and then it's a funnel. The other rules sort them out one by one and then you end up with zero. If someone quits on you, it might also be because of your rules. So let's say you communicate that you're pissed off by sex junkies. Every man who actually likes a lot of sex and doesn't 100% get enchanted by your other charms will finally find that the other two of you are lacking chemistry. And of course, those women who make so many rules for the man to date them are kind of putting off as well. From dress code to income level, communication frequency, not too much, but also not too little, to food choices. I remember endless discussions about vegan and vegetarian food. And the last one says here, I suggest you need to swallow your pride and date older. A high-value 49-year-old man does not generally want a relationship with a 49-year-old woman. They can easily get women in their 30s. Sorry, it's just nature. That's what I said, exactly. So she is her own worst enemy here, okay? And again, like I said in the beginning, I'm doing this for you guys for two reasons. For you guys dating in relationships, this is what's out there. This is what you can expect, particularly you guys that are older. And if you start if you try out the gals in 30s and 40s, they get pickier as they get older. It makes no sense. And again, I get certain deal breakers. I get having life experience. You're like, well, after that, I'm not doing this. Everybody can have deal breakers, and that's fine. You know, certain things. But it's a problem when you have 150 deal breakers. It's like, you gotta be shitting me. So for you guys dating, be aware of this, what's out there. And I'm sure a lot of you guys that are dating or were dating understand this perfectly well. And again, for you guys that don't date, because for many, many reasons, and I can't blame you in the least, this is a perfect example to reinforce why you have the attitude that you do in today's world. So anyhow, guys, that'd be a good one there. Entertaining, but there you go. They complain they can't get a guy, but at the end of the day, it is their own doing. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me think about this. Let me know about your experiences in this whole thing. I'd like to hear about it. And also, guys, if you are on social media, check me out on Instagram or Locals, Strong Successful Male. And also, if you guys have any great stories like to share with me to do in this channel, your own personal stories, things that you've overcome, bad marriages, bad dating, whatever, and you came out on top, or what you've learned, email it to me. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com, as well as good entertaining articles that I can do. I'm always on the lookout for good material to do on here to keep you guys entertained. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.